Hey, this is Vu, and today I'm going to be talking about trying to develop a progression of your playstyle throughout a counter-terrorist half to try to put the enemy on the back foot and win your team rounds. And this is something that even pretty good players oftentimes don't recognize, or maybe they'll do subconsciously sometimes, however not really be able to put their finger on. And it's the idea that instead of just putting yourself in good positions to get frags, which is what you want to be doing of course, you also want to be putting the enemy in a bad position to win rounds. And so what you're doing is you're forcing them to commit time and resources to your side of the map, which will make the other side of the map, the one with your teammates on it, especially in solo queue, easier for your team to try and control. And that means even just by changing up your playstyle a little tiny bit, you can make your games much easier to win. And this is a playstyle where you just essentially go aggressive early on in the half to force the enemy team to be worried. And JW is probably the best example of a player that does that, because what he does is he rotates around the map going very aggressive at certain points at certain maps, and he really is very unpredictable. And what that means is that the enemy team constantly has to waste their time and money and flashes and nades trying to clear out spots that he might not even be. So a good example would be if he's at car here, peeks out, gets a kill, falls back here, peeks out, maybe takes a shot, misses, gets a kill, whatever. And maybe he's also got a teammate at sandbags. Now think of this from the terrorist perspective. The rest of the rounds in the half, or at least the next few rounds, they're going to be so worried about that, they're going to have to waste a flash over to clear out car. They might have to waste a flash over to clear out corner. They might have to waste a Molotov towards sandbags to clear that out. And they'll probably send more than one player there every round to make sure that if he goes back, they will at least be able to get a trade frag, which means he has made that side of the map much harder for the enemy to take, and thereby making the other side of the map much easier for your team to hold, simply by going somewhere once and forcing the enemy team to be worried about a certain playstyle. And this is the type of thing that can be done with much more passivity, maybe by throwing 4 smokes at banana here. And if you think about that from the terrorist perspective, if the enemy team hears you throw 3 smokes towards banana or 2, and they start to think, well, let's push in, and then the third smoke comes in, and they're like, well, we can wait out another 20 seconds for that, and then a 4th smoke comes in, and they realize that that's going to be smoked out for the entire round. If they try and go back later, they're always going to be worried about that exact same thing happening, and they're going to be more worried about that, they might end up heading to the other bomb site because of it. Now, the optimal way to try and do this sort of aggression to put the enemy team in a bad position is to do something that can be easily faked out, or something that they always have to be worried about. So for example, if you go banana and you push up banana, and one time you don't throw any nades with that smoke, you could potentially throw that smoke again and not need to go aggressive, but force them to play back if you notice that they usually play back anyways. Maybe a better example, because with that smoke at banana, you actually do have to be worried about them maybe pushing through it, and you do have to waste resources. Maybe a couple of better examples might be throwing this one way towards top banana here, where you can play in this one way, it's very hard for them to deal with, you get a kill, and then the rest of the half they have to be worried that maybe you're throwing that one way again. Same with a one way towards the cart here. And a perfect example would actually be with a flashbang over. So you play a player towards corner, and you play a player with a flash out here. And what happens is this player might throw the flash over, and this guy peeks out and grabs a frag and then falls back. And now the rest of the half, the terrorist team is going to have to play a player that's playing anti-flash with a player at top banana, just in case you flash over and peek again. So again, they have to send an extra player there while they try and hold top banana, or else they're going to have to be worried about getting picked off very easily. And of course, the same thing could be said with this flash peek in middle, where you flash over. That means the enemy team is going to be worried about trying to play aggressively in middle early on in the round. And optimally, what you want this to do is force the enemy team to always need to get map control at the beginning of rounds, and make it hard for them to get that map control. Because if you play consistently passive at a place like banana, which I've seen so many people do before, what's going to happen is the enemy team's going to stop using too many nades, they're going to get full control of it, or they might not even want to get control of that area of the map. Because if they send 5 player towards A, they can take up a straight up 5-on-2, or sorry, a 5-on-3 at the A bomb site and not be worried about you flanking. However, if your team plays aggressively a few rounds, now they are forced every single round to risk getting flanked, or more likely what they're going to do is they're going to have to take control of banana every round. So you're making them waste time and resources, again, a lot of time and a lot of resources combined throughout the half to take over these areas. And so if you do this at banana and you have a teammate or a couple of teammates that do this towards apartments, you can really start forcing the team into really terrible positions where they have to spread out their team super thin trying to get map control. And if they don't, then your team's just going to absolutely obliterate them. So anyways, thanks for watching, and I hope this helped.